In 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first man to travel into space. In 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first man to step foot on the moon. Do you know who the second man in space was, or the second one to walk on the moon? Yeah, most people don't know. And this is a pretty common thing people say to justify the fact that if you're not first, you're basically last. But what about all of these people? They're living the life, doing jobs literally out of this world. In this video, we'll shift that paradigm on its head. We'll talk about the hidden value of not being first, and how being third is actually better than being second. You'll find a great motivation boost after watching this video. Welcome to Alux. In a competition, there are only two kinds of players: winners and losers. It's a zero-sum game, meaning that for one to win, another has to lose. Poker is a great example of a zero-sum game. For one player to have all of the chips, the other players have to lose all of their chips. The sum of the gains is equal to the sum of the losses. That's why it's called a zero-sum game. Wins and losses are equal and they cancel each other out. But real life isn't a competition, yet people still approach it with the same mentality. For you to win, you think someone else has to lose. But in reality, the only person you're competing against is yourself, in which case you can't win and lose at the same time. To better understand how this works, let's talk about the problem of being second. And look, there's one huge problem with being second. You are not first, and you were so close. If only you were a bit faster, if only you invested a little bit sooner, if you had done just a bit more. Being second is one of the most depressing and frustrating places to be. And there are actual studies on this. A team of researchers studied the behavior of those who finished second during the Olympics. They showed footage of the award ceremony to a focus group. Unsurprisingly, everyone who looked at the footage noted that the second place winners looked the most disappointed. And you can see this for yourself in this footage. That's because if you just miss something, your brain goes into if-only mode. You start thinking of all the little things you could have done better. It doesn't allow for you to enjoy the moment or try harder next time. And what better way to illustrate this than with one of the most interesting stories that we've read on the topic. Jamie Henthron was a young athlete blessed with incredible genetics. Both of his parents were professional athletes. His father was a 100-meter champion in college. His mother broke her school's high jump record and represented Scotland at multiple events. All of the genetic odds were stacked in Jamie's favor. When he started competing in senior school, he dominated pretty much every athletic event. He was so fast, his fellow competitors didn't even bother trying to catch him, let alone beat him. After years of intensive training and constant winning, he was picked to represent the UK at the European Athletics Junior Championships. Another medal win was almost certain. When it came to the final event, Jamie and another competitor named Dwayne Chambers were neck and neck. They both saved everything for this last run and they gave it their all. They were fighting for first place, not caring whoever was behind them. At the finish line, they both clocked in the exact same time, 10.41. The jury had to look at the photo to pick the winner. Jamie lost. Dwayne Chambers is now known as one of the fastest European sprinters in history. Angelos Pavlakakis, the third-place winner who nobody cared about, is now known as the fastest Greek sprinter. There are no mentions of Jamie Henthron. After that loss, he unfortunately quit competing and vanished. And on that note, let's talk about why being third is better. Moving away from sporting events here for a second, let's talk about what being third means in life. People think having a winner's mentality is crucial to achieving greatness. After all, you open up a coffee shop, you don't want to sell the third best coffee in town, right? But when people try to be the best, they focus on beating others rather than improving themselves. They go into zero-sum game mode. They focus on needing others to lose. These people don't understand that there's enough cake for everyone to eat. Now, being third is statistically not better than being first, but it gives you gratitude and ambition. Sure, you're not the champion here, but you still made it to the top. You're playing the game, you're doing the things, you're selling your stuff. Without the stress of striving to be the absolute best, you essentially give yourself permission to just enjoy your performance. And instead of criticizing the hell out of yourself, you're better able to assess and improve that performance for next time. When being number one is your only goal, it mostly just gives you pressure. You try to force yourself to conform to extreme winning conditions that may or may not be real and are so far out of reach that you might even quit out of frustration. Just think of how a lot of people go about trying to lose weight. Most of them don't actually adopt a healthier lifestyle. Many don't even consider how they might be sabotaging themselves with poor diet and exercise choices. No, instead they impatiently try to lose as much weight as possible in world record time. They cut carbs, eliminate sugar, drink some kind of weird laxative tea, and only eat fresh air for breakfast. They create the most unrealistic standard for winning that it's just impossible to attain, let alone maintain. And if another friend is on the same journey with them, how many do you think are secretly hoping that their friend will fail, or at least not lose as much weight as them because, if you're not first, you're last? Imagine that. Striving so hard to be number one, you actually wish your friend doesn't reach their goals. Gross. So, Aluxer, being third, as it were, really just allows you to compete with yourself instead of focusing so hard on beating out everyone else, which leaves you far more likely to actually improve your game and eventually come in first. Sitting in third allows you to be grateful you're among the top performers in your class, instead of resenting that you're not the best one. Which brings us to comparing up versus comparing down. Okay, so what do we mean by this? Well, the second place finisher, the one who's so bitter about not being first they can't even enjoy being on the podium, they're stuck in the trap of comparing up. The third place finisher, who's just ecstatic to be among the top because they almost didn't make it, they're comparing down. And both of these mentalities are useful because they give you two different things. Comparing up, or how your life would look if you got most things right, gives you ambition. Comparing down, or looking at how far you've come, it gives you gratitude. And if you don't have a healthy mix of both, you will 100% end up miserable and unhappy. This is the bronze medalist mentality. Ambition to strive to be first, and gratitude for being on the podium. To be second means you won everything and some guy beat you there and now nobody knows who you are. To be third means you have to fight against everybody to get a chance at the podium. It's just oddly more rewarding. In judo, for example, you need to fight harder and longer for third place as opposed to second. In the words of Stanford University professor Bob Sutton, silver medalists see themselves as the first losers, while bronze medalists see themselves as the last winners. Alright, so what's the takeaway here? How does this translate to the real world, and what can you learn from all of this? When you decide to transform your life, whether that's starting a business or learning a new skill or going on a different path, you look to the people who've done it already. You search for inspiration and a beaten path to take. But this is where most people make a major mistake. Let's say you're 30 and you have an idea for a business. You do some research online and find a 19-year-old already doing that and making a killing, and you get discouraged. You say to yourself, I've got 11 years on this guy and he's already beating me. I could never catch up to him. Or, if I was 19 today, I would have made a bigger business than him. That's the silver medalist mentality, and it's knocking you down. It doesn't allow you to go after the podium. In this case, podium being owning a business that pays your bills. You need a mentality shift. Allow yourself a chance to get on the podium first, then reassess what it takes to get yourself on top of it. We'll leave you with this, Aluxer. There are a lot of musicians who are depressed they're not famous enough. And there are a lot of musicians who are happy they even get the opportunity to make a living out of music. Which kind do you want to be? If you found this video valuable, you'll love the next one. Why being good enough is great. You can watch it by clicking in the top right corner or the link in the pinned comment. We'll see you guys next time.